A Christian teacher who was banned from teaching for misgendering a pupil has lost his High Court battle to get his job back. 34-year-old maths teacher Joshua Sutcliffe was banned from the classroom last year after being found guilty of, quote, unacceptable professional conduct. This involved him saying, "Well done, girls," to two children, one of whom was a girl that's identified as a male. And despite launching a legal appeal, the judge has now concluded that Mr Sutcliffe, quote, fails to understand or accept the harm that he caused vulnerable children in his class by refusing to use their preferred pronouns, and upheld his ban from British classrooms. I'm joined now by the man himself, Joshua Sutcliffe. Joshua, so this is it's getting very convoluted. You've been to court and you're going to go to the Court of Appeal again. Just take us back to what happened in class. You refused to use a child's pronouns. Why didn't you just go along with it?
Well, I think my Christian convictions, led me to not use pronouns at all. I just thought a sensible approach would be to just not use pronouns. But as you read in your opening statement, that wasn't good enough. And the judge, I think, has made an egregious decision. I think he showed zero understanding of my Article 9 and Article 10 rights. I thought it was a bit of a pantomime court, in all honesty. I was instructed, as you read there, that I should have celebrated the pupils' transition, and I'm clearly not a believer in leading children down a path of mutilation and down a dangerous path of taking strong drugs and so on. So I stand by my convictions, and I'm hoping, this I believe is a really important case for our nation, because obviously I have quite strong Christian convictions, but this is probably a more universal belief that we shouldn't be leading young people down this dangerous path, and that is what the principal argument in the court was.
So you weren't obliged by law to use the pronouns, were you? So on what basis were you denied by the High Court today, or a few days ago?
Well, exactly. I wasn't denied by law. The head teachers of the school and the leadership team thought it appropriate for me to use the child's pronoun. If anything, they should be banned from the profession.
Your bosses, your old head teachers?
The old head teachers, yeah. Because this is a dangerous path for children. We have to really understand what this is. It is really harmful to young people to go down this path. And, we have to, as a nation, decide that it's not something that we're going to encourage. And so I'm happy, obviously, to sit here next to you and discuss these things, but it's a much bigger issue than me sat here.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's been plenty of controversy around the Tavistock Clinic and, the conjecture that puberty blockers are reversible, for example. Look, last year, the Tory government did release guidelines for teachers in schools dealing with trans children, but that came after your incident first kicked off. Do you think your result in court would have been different if it had happened after the fact?
Well, Ben, the hearing was actually after the CAS review and after that government advice. So that's why I was actually optimistic that...
And you still lost?
And I still lost, yeah. That's why I've accused Mr Pepperall of conducting a pantomime court, because he's not gone along with government guidance. He's not gone along with professional advice from medical professionals. He's gone along with his, what I would say, strong cult opinion, dogma opinion, which no one should conform to. If anything, he should lose his position on the bar. This is children's well-being and safeguarding that we're talking about here, and it's a really important issue.
This sets quite a chilling precedent, doesn't it?
It does.
Do you fear for your old colleagues in the industry, not just at the school you worked at, but across the country, who will now be forced to go against biological reality, go against their concerns for the safety and well-being of children, and being dragged to go along with this trans ideology?
I really fear for the state of our nation, to be honest with you. It's not just teachers, it's professionals across the spectrum. People are being cancelled for holding perfectly reasonable beliefs and for having some care for the young people in their care. And, sometimes, I have a 2-year-old son, Ben. I know you've got children as well. And, sometimes, if he goes to touch the oven, I tell him not to touch the oven. There are times when I tell him not to do things. And so I would say that that's a similar case here. There are times as professionals that we would say to young people, no, that's not a sensible thing to do. As an adult, you know, in our country, there's many freedoms. But for young people, I think that we've got to take an institutional, national line on this and say, no, we're not going to encourage this in our schools.
So you're going to the Court of Appeal. What's next? Are you more hopeful you're going to get a decent hearing there?
I'm hopeful, Ben. I remain hopeful, and because I believe that I'm on the right side of this argument. I believe that I'm in the truth in this argument. So I'm hopeful that we will get justice in this case. But, you know, I really appreciate you having me on. And,
no, you're very welcome. As you said, I've got young children. Plenty of our viewers have children and grandchildren, and, you know, this is an issue which is growing and growing. And as I said to you, I think it sets a chilling precedent about the future, despite the Cass report, despite the findings in that report. Just very briefly, how has this affected you? What are you doing for work now? How's it affected your mental health, if anything? What are you up to?
Yeah, I think my mental health, you know, it can be up and down on the issue, because this is something I committed myself to, teaching the profession. But, you know, I remain hopeful. I have a firm Christian belief, and so that sort of roots me in my thinking. And in terms of, you know, professionally, obviously, I've had to adapt and, you know, make the best of a bad situation.
Do you ever think you just should have gone along with it? Do you ever think that at times when things are getting hard, you just think, oh, I should have just
never
gone along with it?
I would never go along with that. I would never do that, Ben. Never.
OK. Well, look, good luck at the Court of Appeal. When's the hearing?
I think we've got probably 6 to 12 months. The court system's backlogged with a whole number of cases.
Yeah.
You know, it's the way that things work in the UK at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, really appreciate you coming in, and keep us up to date with your progress in the courts.
Thank you, Ben.
And yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.